you bringing your information to the table with Modern Day Sniper and your expertise. We want to continue to kind of diversify what we're doing and approach performance from a holistic perspective, right? It's you got your rifle, obviously, but then we also have the mind and we have the body. And that's where you come in with the body aspect of things. And one of the things I just wanted to do with this conversation was just to have the audience learn, where Vincent Peak comes from, like where do you come from?
Sure.
Who is Vincent Peak, and what are you bringing to the table for Modern Day Sniper?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the body and mind aspect is, like you're saying, probably just as equally complex as the wind. It's like one of the main distinguishing pieces of that world, of the shooting world, is wind. That's the deviation. And I think sometimes people will get off track and not address the body as well. And if the body has issues, screams, pain, and you don't address them soon, the pain teacher's going to come and lock everything down.
Yeah.
And so I think that's more the expertise that I ended up in, is always being in pain. And I wanted to solve that for other people once I was able to truly understand it for myself. And I don't think that I'm a complete expert at it, but I've lived through a lot of it. And so that's where I've landed in my journey. Like, this is what I want to solve for other people. I want to help people get out of pain, but first understand what it is.
Yeah. So where'd you grow up?
Spokane.
You grew up right in Spokane?
Yeah.
Okay. So what year did you graduate high school?
Oh, I graduated high school 2005.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, and then, all right. So high school, what were your activities as a kid? Like, well, what did you like to do as a kid? What was the things that you did for fun? Did you play any sports in high school?
I did. Yeah. I really enjoyed wrestling. I was a really active wrestler. Loved baseball. Come high school, I got talked into doing like cross country and soccer because my brother was like phenomenal at those sports, and people assumed I would be too. I wasn't.
Right.
But they were entertaining things to do. Yeah, my childhood was pretty interesting. A lot of the things that I had learned then, I think it's like anybody though. I think for a long time, it was pretty hard for me to talk to people about my childhood, my upbringing, because I was embarrassed. I'm like, if I tell you this story about me, you'll probably look at me a certain way.
Or like rejection, judgment, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and for a long time, I didn't want to tell people anything about my upbringing or my childhood until I had gone through this long process of healing to understand what it actually was. And one of the main drivers around that for me was I thought that my experience was a minority to other people. And I don't know, getting out and about, meeting more people, exploring, I think what I learned is majority is people have a lot of childhood trauma. The majority of people do. And that made it easier for me to realize the things that I've gone through can be a testimony to share with other people, because what other people are looking for is they want to heal. And so, well, how do we even do that coming from these types of places, these types of trauma, experience, whatever it is? They're not individualized to each person. And what I mean is, in general, sometimes people look at their pain and suffering as it's theirs and theirs alone. No one's experienced something like this. And maybe that's how I had felt growing up too. Like, I'm isolated, I'm alone. I've gone through these things. But come to find, majority of people have. And so that's when it became more clear to me, like, I need to use my experience, how I've been able to heal, as a testimony and a method of solving other people's pain, other people's trauma. And so that's kind of where I've landed on this theme, this core topic, is you have to go through something hard that breaks you first before you can heal. And that doesn't mean it's only going to happen once.
Man, that's super huge. I think that's very important. And one of the things that have been a big topic as of late with my son, he's 15. He'll be 16 in September. And he lives with his mother in Provo, Utah. And he's at that point in time in his life where he's starting to realize that he requires some adversity in his life, right? He's looking for adversity to show him who he really is as a person, as a human being. And we talk quite a bit about rites of passage, difficult things. And this is like a societal thing and a cultural thing that I think we have drifted away from substantially, right? So there used to be rites of passage in every culture for young men, right? Going from boyhood to manhood.
Absolutely.
Some of them are extreme, like very, very extreme. And sometimes children don't survive them. Matter of fact, one of my buds, Len Waldron, we were just talking to him on the way here. He loves to hunt in Africa. He's an outdoor writer, and whenever he has an opportunity or has some sort of chance to go to Africa, he really tries to capitalize on it because he just loves it there. And he met an individual. I want to say, if I get this wrong, Len, I apologize. He's a Dutch Afrikaner that, as a young man, he was raised in Africa and surrounded by native tribesmen. And so this individual is the only white man to have ever gone through this particular rite of passage for, I think it's one of the two major tribes in sub-Saharan Africa. And this guy went through that rite of passage ordeal. And so this gentleman told Len his story, and Len, like, obviously listened to it with, awe, and said, "Hey, can I tell your story? Can I write about your story?" And he wrote about this guy's story. And there's like a major media publication that's going to come of this because, number one, Len's a beautiful author. He's like a modern Hemingway, right? He's very, 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 very pointed in his writing, and he has a very graceful method about the way that he communicates through words. And I can't wait to read this story. It's about ready to be released in print, and immediately I'm going to send it to my son.
Oh, yeah.
And, say, "Hey, man, like this is that rite of passage. This is the suffering that is going to take a young boy into manhood." And the way that they look at it, dude, is it's just like it's done. Anything that happened before this moment literally no longer exists in the world. It doesn't exist in your life. We don't reflect on it. We don't look back on it. We don't think about it, because this ordeal has taken you through, physical, mental, emotional, great stress, to the point where some boys die as they go through it. And it's pretty intense, man. And as soon as it comes out, I'll send you a copy of it.
Yes,
too.
please do.
It's an impressive story. So
overcoming adversity.
Overcoming adversity is I think, you're a Marine, right? And you're also a Marine Scout Sniper. And so that program in and of itself is full of adversity.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of people that look at the military as like, there's your rite of passage. And I used to agree with that. I don't necessarily agree with it as much anymore. I'm just learning what I've learned and knowing what I know, because you don't always have the best leadership in organizations that are responsible for that rite of passage, right? So, and it's a continual rite of passage, right? You're always being evaluated. So I think that that's very interesting, because people like us tend to we gravitate towards those experiences because of childhood, and we're looking for something to fill a gap that we didn't receive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the overcoming adversity thing for your transition from young boy to young man. And if you miss out on being in conflict, solving problems, I think you miss an opportunity to understand, find out who you really are.
Yeah,
That was
1,000%.
That was a big piece for me. Outside lens looking in at me when I'm a young guy is I'm probably up to no good. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to accomplish anything. And I was always resentful of that type of conversation surrounding me. Because to me, I was a good guy, but I didn't have the greatest start of opportunity. And it was always adversity that I was working through. And like I was describing earlier, I thought it was just unique to me. But later to find out, everyone has this type of childhood trauma, issues that they go through. For us, I'm the youngest boy of 8.
Okay, wow. All right.
My brother next up from me is 2 years older than me, and then 10 years older than me, 12 years older than me.
Wow. All right.
And
That's a big gap.
it's a lot.
Those are big gaps.
Yeah.
I mean, and almost gaps that are difficult to have relatability from one side.
I think that's it. Yeah, they were all moving out by the time I was growing up. We had a pretty abusive childhood, and it was always understood to me that it was always going to be like this. And I always wanted to solve it. I always wanted to be good, but it wasn't the information that we were receiving from our house. My dad was heavy into dope. He was a dealer, and his worst flaw was he used more than he sold. And so we didn't have that same structure of growing up that I realized most people actually don't have. And so my mom, she was out entertaining other people. And all of us were, my memories of childhood is alone. I was alone and played by myself, entertained myself. The two other, my brother and sister that were still in my home, were dealing with the same things. Everyone doing it alone. And some of my core memories from then, which aren't great, I remember about 14 or 15, my dad, he's heavy into using. One of his greatest qualities, he was a great con man. Outside looking in, everyone thought he was an amazing person. He was so good at manipulation. And I had watched that for years, my entire life. Two sides of a person. One you show somebody, and then who you really are behind closed doors. It was fascinating to me how many people for a decade thought he was just an amazing guy when he's just a drug abuser. And I had seen so much of that. This core memory for me is being in our kitchen, and our dad calls us together, my brother and my sister, who's still at this house, and shows us how to make crack. And I'm 15. I'm like, wow, that's entertaining chemistry, but I don't know what to do with it. And I see what it does to you, so I'm not that interested in it. And my older brother and my sister, they're interested in it. My brother uses it, and I always remember this moment because I know it forever changed who he was. He's still addicted to substance, still homeless. And so that was a big point for me because I didn't want to be a part of that. I had seen what it looked like enough growing up that I didn't want that for myself. My mom had left now. One day she just got up and left, didn't tell anyone. We didn't know where she went. She left. And so for me, I didn't want to be there anymore. And so I left. So maybe 15 or 16, I started just being out. I'm homeless. I don't know where I'm going to sleep, what I'm going to eat. Definitely not going to school. And it was a hard point for me because everyone else around me is school and mentors, or people that are around me have an expectation for me that, well, I should be normal. I should do what everyone else is doing. Like, I'm not in the same mind space as everyone else. I'm hungry, I'm cold, I don't know where I'm going. And that's where I ended up, is in this cycle of trouble. Endlessly in the juvenile detention. I don't have any structure there. But this point for me is I'm surviving. I'm not healing yet. As this story unfolds for me in my brain, I'm still just surviving. And maybe that was my adversity that I was learning from and going through. And I had stayed that way for a couple years, maybe from 16 to 17. I'm in trouble. I'm just in trouble. And I don't have any structure. I didn't grow up with that type of structure either. And the real turning point for me is where I transitioned to wanting to, change and do something different. I ended up getting in a whole lot of trouble pretty much a couple days after I turned 18, which was a pattern for me anyways. I ended up getting sent to Geiger prison. And, using substance, aggravated assault. This is the first time that I've been in a different type of setting like this, where it's not fun. And no one around me is having any fun. What I remember seeing is all of these people with immense amount of trauma that they haven't solved. Yeah, I could feel it in these rooms there. It's all a bad situation. And it reminded me of growing up. This is where I'm going to end up. Just like, my brother taking those steps that forever changed his life. Here's my moment. I could end up just like this, or I can make drastically different choices. And honestly, that was the turning point for me.
You're having this conversation with yourself at this age?
Oh yeah. I don't want to, looking at other people's, how they live their life. I don't want to live like that. Mm-hmm. I don't want to end up like that. I've seen what it looks like, both sides of the coin. And so that was the final straw for me, honestly. That was the pivotal moment of decision making. Am I ready to heal? Do I want to heal from this, or do I want to end up like these other guys that are here who are not healed and they're not well? Yeah, that was the turning point for me.
And so you were 18 at that point?
I just turned 18.
Just turned 18.
Yeah.
So from that point in your life, you've made this determination, I'm not going to be like that. I'm making this choice to move into another mindset. And where did that take you?
I sought out people. I was looking for mentors. Yeah. That's something that I didn't have. And I'm so hard on it now, especially when I interact with younger guys, is you need a mentor. You need a network, you need to be in a team, and you need to involve yourself heavily with that team. You need to rely on them, they need to rely on you. So you need some type of accountability. And I think that's what a mentor really provides. And that's what I wanted all growing up was a mentor. And so I went to school. I'm like, man, what do successful people do? This is all I know. I hadn't been in school. I wasn't doing school. I'm like, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to go to the community college. And what do I want to be? I want to be a police officer.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, well, that's what I'm going to do. Even then to me, there was a lore about them. I've never had a negative interaction with law enforcement. Everyone that I've ever interacted with, maybe it's demeanor, I've had exceptional outcomes every time. And I wanted to be a part of that brotherhood. Mm-hmm. People who are upstanding, have moral fiber, ethic, live by set virtue. I'm like, I want that for me because I know what that represents, what the expression of that becomes. Like, I'm going to have a stable life. Mm-hmm. That's what I always wanted. And so I joined a program at the Spokane Community College, and it was called Rho Beta Psi, a criminal justice fraternity. And up until this point, I had not participated in any type of structure, any type of accountability whatsoever. I'm 18, maybe 19. And I have not had any type of structure like this. Now, these guys that were running this program are retired police officers, Gary Johns, Mike Prim. They're hard-nosed, super strict guys. If you're a part of their program, 7 a.m. PT every day. Now, I've had, by that time, I've had a DUI, I can't have a car, you know, on all types of trouble. And I'm trying to change what my expression is going to be on the back end. And I don't want to be, I want to perform. And I want to impress the mentors that are giving me a chance. And I didn't have a car. So every day I'm on a bicycle, I live in the valley, in the community colleges, halfway between the city and the valley. I'm biking there. Maybe it's just 8 miles, but I've never done this before. And so it's a lot for me to make this transition. Like, I've got to sleep, I've got to eat, I have to be training, or I'm not going to keep up with the requirements these guys have for 7 a.m. runs. We're sprinting the track, we're running down to the Avista Energy Utility and back, which is 3 miles. We're doing 5Ks. They're timing everything. They're documenting everyone. You know, every day you have to be at the 7 a.m. PT thing, and then to be in the Rho Beta Psi fraternity, they travel and compete.
Okay.
So you have an expectation that you have to put in work. You need to be accountable. So you do the 7 a.m. PT with them. Everyone in the group is there. It's super formal. There's a attire. We're standing in formations. It's nothing that I've ever done. And I like it a lot. And we go to our first competition, Missouri SWAT Challenge. And it's an O course with varying different things. A body drag, some stairs, windows, stability, tightrope, balance beam things, you know, but it's a PT test. Mm-hmm. And they have a consortium of other things there, like you come in to do a CIS, you know, and this is all for score. So you come onto a crime scene at a hotel and you've got to ask questions. I really enjoyed all the process. And these guys, Gary Johns, Mike Prim, set me up to completely succeed at this event. I won the fitness challenge at the Missouri SWAT competition for the annual criminal justice event. And that was the first thing I ever won. And it was a huge deal for me because there's a couple hundred people there who are all high performers and all looking to do the same thing. They want to win. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of the time where I've realized I'm doing more than just the bare minimum because I'm trying to be accountable to these mentors who are giving me an opportunity. And I'm getting to the end of the program. I'm about to graduate. Before I had signed up to go to school, I tried to go to the military.
Okay.
And I signed up to go to the Marine Corps. And they seen my list of charges, and they were like,
yeah, nah, dog.
Get out of here. You wouldn't make it. You wouldn't fit in here.
Right.
We don't want you. And I'm like, damn, okay, well, I can't go to the military. I'm going to have to go to school. And I'm almost done with my criminal justice degree. And they taught me something crucial there. When you endure with intention, with a purpose, that's when you heal. And I was on that path. I was healing. I was healthy. I was doing really responsible things. I was exposed to new environments. I'm almost done with this program. And I get a call. It's a Marine Corps recruiter. And he says, hey, you inquired about joining the Marine Corps. Where are you at? And I'm like, oh, I'm busy now. I've kind of changed trajectories. I'm doing something different. I'm going to school, so probably not a thing for me. And, you know, he got me.
He ain't gonna let you go now.
He said, I had no idea. Like, idea about what? He said, you're a pussy. And I was like, me? not me, not what I've gone through. No way. He said, yeah, you are. You're a coward. You said you wanted to join. I'm giving you an opportunity to join, and you're turning it down. And I'm like, pussy. I mean, these are fighting words to me, probably to most guys. And he's like, come down here. I'm like, I will come down there. He's like, do it. Come down here right now. I'm like, done. I'm going to get on my bicycle, ride down to this office to talk to this guy. And, you know, he's got me.
Hook you right in, man.
He's hooked me.
He got you.
He hooked me.
Yeah.
He says, you like camping? You like hiking? You like shooting guns? You like fitness? I'm like, this is me. This is what I like. He's like, I got the best job for you in the infantry.
0300. You made it.
Well, and me, I've had some exposure. You know, I've got the mentors, Gary Johnson, Mike Prim, and I go talk to them about it. And they're like, you know, my ultimate goal is go federal law enforcement at the time. That's what I wanted. You know, I wanted to be like FBI, HRT team, you know, maybe state police, high risk warrant. That's what I was interested in. And they said, based on your past, you're not going to get a job there. And the only way you're going to solve this is by having some military service. I'm like, okay, done. I'll go back to the recruiter. I'll sign up. I want to be in recon.
Okay.
Right? These are sneaky squirrel, top of the line guys in my brain at the time. I'm like, this is what I've seen. Soldier of Fortune. And so I go there. I take the ASVAB. I score really well because I've been doing studies and schooling at this time. So I do really well, which also surprises me too. And the recruiter tells me I can't get you a 0321 contract. I can only get you an 03XX. You're just going to go in general. And he says, you know, I shouldn't have believed this guy.
Where the boat space is full for 0321?
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't get anything for you. And I don't even know if he was telling the truth.
Right.
But he's like, when you get to SOI, you go tell them.
Oh yeah, you just go tell them.
You're gonna go 0321, and they'll put you in the right spot.
Private peak.
I was like,
Yep.
dead on. I'm going. Yeah, do the boot camp thing. I really flourish in the environment. I leave the honor grad. I lead with the leatherneck thing, the PFT award. I'm like, fitness is my thing at the time. I'm gonna sacrifice body, limb, mind. I have to win, and it's not for winning's sake. I have to prove everybody wrong about me. So I have to do more. It's just an obligation for what I was going through, and it's what I learned. I used fitness as a way to heal, maybe to a point of no end damage to my body. But I do really well there. I get to the SOI thing. You know, I've got an extra rank. You know, I feel like I have some clout. And we get to, I don't know how many weeks in, maybe just a few weeks in, for you shoot off to where your MOS is going to be. And they say, Peak, you're a machine gunner. I'm like, no. You guys have got it all wrong.
You guys got this wrong. This is what I signed up for. We need to be over here.
Yeah. I'm actually going to the 0321 group. They're like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're a machine gunner now. Go. And I'm like, there's no way. My recruiter told me what I needed to do. So I'm like, well, there's no way. And I am okay with breaking the rules. So
Based upon your background and based upon like what, I get that for sure.
I'm okay with it. So I'm like, I absolutely know that I can't go talk to the CO. I know that. It would be the most looked down thing ever. And there's me finding his office. I'm not in formation. I'm not at class. I'm finding the
Are you talking about like the SOI CO?
Yep. And I'm finding his office, and I'm like, and he's like, what the fuck? Who the fuck are you? And I'm like, look, I've got a problem, and I need you to solve it.
I can literally see this happening right now.
I'm wrong.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I'm in bad shape.
Yeah, you're in real bad shape.
I'm in bad shape. And he gave me some dignity before some sergeant came and just fucking thrashed me.
Yep.
And he said, I hear you, and I believe you. I believe you. He said, I want you to remember this the rest of your career here. Needs of the Marine Corps. Get the out of my office. And I'm like, shit. He calls some guy down. They just thrashed me for hours. You know, I'm just getting slayed, and I'm repressed. I'm like, this was my calling. I'm going to be this guy. No, I'm going to be a machine gunner. And I still tried to perform that job to my best. And you know this, you were in when it was much more complicated to be in the fleet.
Yeah, to a certain degree. Yeah. I came in in 1997, 1998. And so that was obviously peacetime. And that was with a very liberal administration in play at the government level. And so we didn't have any funding. We didn't have any ammunition. We didn't train. It was, my experience was like, this is not what I signed up for. Like this is, I can't see myself. My leadership was terrible. All of my fire team leaders, and I was an 0351 in weapons company. But I wasn't a tow guy. I was a dragon guy. And my team leaders were just terrible. They were just terrible. And they were all getting ready to go on their salty senior Lance Corporal second Westpac deployment, right?
Yeah.
And they just all wanted to get out. They were popping their ruck straps and they just wanted to get out. And there was really no mentorship. There was really no leadership. It was just suffer and endure. And that was not what my vision of what
right.
my purpose in this organization was for. And much like you, I went in with the intention of becoming a Marine Corps Scout Sniper. Like that was that goal right there. That's it. And when I got there and said that, just like you, they're like, hey, just go over there and talk to those dudes. Like that, you'll be fine.
Right.
And I did the same thing, and people said, no, you need to go find the stay platoon, because back then they were stay platoons, surveillance and target acquisition platoons. And they said, go find the stay platoon, find out when they're going to do their next indoc, and just go take the indoc. And in my brain at 17, 18 years old, I was like, well, okay, then that's exactly what it's going to be. Not so much. So,
but you're hopeful. I mean, you tried.
You're super hopeful, but like this was much like yourself. This was a goal that I had that I wasn't going to let go. Right.
Yeah, I know. So you can't.
I also looked at the military as a career move. I knew in my mind, I was like, I'm going to be here for, my uncle was a 20-year Marine. You know, the youngest brother on my father's side was also a Marine. He was in the Air Wing. My grandfather, Wojcik, fought with the 82nd Airborne in World War II. My mother's father was a combat engineer in Korea. I mean, that dude lied about his age when he was 16 years old.
Yeah.
16. Lied about his age. He's like, yeah, I'm 18. And everybody's a skinny little kid, you know, at that point in time. And that dude was fighting in Korea when he was 17 years old. Yeah. Disarming landmines and stuff. Crazy stuff, right? So things that are unheard of at this point in time in culture and society, right? So I thought I was going to be there for forever. And so I was like, I don't care how long it's going to take me. I'm going to get there. I'm going to do that. And I had to wait a training cycle. I had to go do, my squad leaders were just like, nah, you're not going over there. You're going to suffer for a training cycle. And so it wasn't true. It wasn't real. It was just the bad information that I got from that. And so I had to wait a training cycle. So I did a full Westpac, MEU training cycle as a 0351, which in the end I think was a good thing because it allowed me to learn how the infantry worked. It allowed me to understand, as a sniper, we're there in support of the infantry and their efforts and operations. And so it gave me a better understanding of like, what is it actually that I'm here to support, right? Like you see like range 400 being executed as a company level attack with combined arms and stuff. So you're like, oh, okay, I understand how, at least at a very rudimentary level as you can, as like a 2-year infantry veteran, right? So it definitely helped, I think. But it was definitely soul crushing to be able to, or to have to take that information and be like, I got to put up with this bullshit for another,
It's hard.
however many months before I can, let's go, let's get this party started. So, yeah, it wasn't easy on the psyche, and it definitely wasn't easy on the soul, but I wasn't going to let it stop me.
Right. Because, I mean, at this stage of it, probably exactly the same for you, I can't fall short of the goals that I've placed. To me, it feels like I'm regressing, and I'm trying to heal. So, no, I agree. I think you have to make them. You have to make it. And I think that's one of the biggest things. You don't give up. You're going to get some semblance of what you want. May not look like the same thing. I wanted to end up in the recon. No chance, never did. Leaving SOI, I got the golden ticket, got sent to 29 Palms, went to 2-7, and never been in the desert before. I'm from Spokane, the Pacific Northwest. I don't know anything about this place, and it sucks.
It's rough out there.
It sucks.
Yeah.
And these guys had just rotated back from a NAVSAD deployment, and they're
Animals.
angry.
Yep.
Yeah. And so the first, I survived there for about 10 days. Like any new fraternity you check into, you're a new guy. You're a boot. You're an FNG. And kind of the culture of the group that we had been put in was heavy drinking. And I don't drink at all. I can't use any substantive. I've gone through all this, the DUI thing, the substance abuse. I'm like, I can't drink. And there's endless amounts of pressure to drink. And I end up drinking. And I'm wildly unstable. I'm not a fun person to drink with. And I get in a bunch of trouble on base, fighting,
All the things.
I resort to violence. I don't know. I'm definitely healed from it now, but back then I can look back and see it and don't drink. I end up drinking. I end up getting in a lot of trouble. I'm fighting at the base, and I get called into the office, Lieutenant Bond, and he's like, Peak, you've got a criminal justice degree, and just 2-year associates. You got the honor man at a boot camp. You got the promotion. You got the PFP award at boot camp and SOI. What the fuck? What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm not ratting on anybody. That's not my thing. And everyone there is going through the exact same thing as me. But I cannot be in that environment. It's not going to work for me. Based on my past and probably plenty of other people there. But I'm not going to succeed in that environment. And he said, the only thing that I can do for you, this is 10 days on fleet, so it's all bad for me. He said, you should try out for the NDOC, but you need to ask your section leader for approval first. And my section leader was just this super salty, hard-nosed guy. Sean O'Malley, he was the person that checked me in on base. It's the first real fleet Marine that I've ever been exposed to. I get off the little bus. I see him standing there, a full Manchu. I'm like, hey, how nice to meet you. He goes, you fucking the fuck out of my face. I'm like, oh shit, that guy's nice. That guy's a great guy.
Oh my God.
So Lieutenant Bond tells me, if you can go convince O'Malley to give you permission to go to the NDOC, you can go. And I'm like, well, I'm fucked. That guy's hardcore. He's not going to say yes to me. I'm nobody. And I'm like, well, I'm going to try.
We're going to try.
Yeah, I'm not going to let things get in the way of what I want to accomplish. And that's I don't know anything about the NDOC. I don't know anything about the fleet. I know nothing. I'm as green as it gets. And I go to his room, I knock on his door, same thing. He's like, you're in the wrong spot. And I'm like, no, I got sent here. I got to talk to you. And he's like, well, just get in the push-up position.
Yeah, just go ahead and get in the front lane row.
Yeah. Tell me everything you want to tell me.
Exactly. Yep.
I tell him, and he's like, they don't want you. You're nobody. You're not going. Get out. And I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, this is it's not going to work for me.
I can't. I'm not leaving. And I'm noticing like, oh, I'm making him mad.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I'm like,
now he's pissed off.
I can't go back. It's not going to work for me. Or I'm going to just be a piece of shit. And he says, okay, fine. You can go. But if you fail, I'm going to make everything worse for you. I'm like, good to go.
Roger this.
And I go to the NDOC, and I am, day 14. The NDOCs had started in 4 days from then. So it's my 14th day in the fleet. I'm starting the first day of the NDOC. Don't know anyone, don't know anything. I think I fail most of the tests. It's endless PT. It's hard. You're trying to do memorization and Kim's games, and I've never been exposed to any of this. And every other person there has got a deployment under their belt. It's probably their 3rd year in, all professionals. I don't know anything. I think I'm like the last on every test, but first on all the PT.
Probably some combat veterans in there too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. All stoic professionals. A lot of guys with accolades. I think 3 of the guys in this NDOC were Purple Hearts.
Yeah, wartime.
I'm in a spot.
This is serious business.
Yeah, I'm in a spot where I probably shouldn't be. I'm not even through yet, but I'm a stay baby. I've been on one field up with the fleet, and we didn't do anything. We dug holes the whole time.
Wrecked.
We dug holes. We dug 5 positions, filled sandbags the entire time. I want to perform. I'm like, I'm gonna be the absolute performer. The knowledge thing I don't know anything about. Lengths of barrels, of weights. I'm like, I'm guessing. I'm trying to memorize this. I'm out of my element. But I need to perform. I need this.
What year is this?
2009.
Okay.
End of 2000, right end of 2000, March of 2009. I have to do this. I can't go back. O'Malley already told me what's waiting for me. And we're on land nav. I'm generally okay at land nav. I'm still learning, and I'm running the whole time. I ran all the routes. I get back first. I'm like, I'm gonna get a high five. I'm gonna get like kudos and accolades. They're gonna celebrate my hard work.
Oh yeah, they're gonna celebrate it, all right.
They're like, that's great. Here's 12 more points. Get back out there. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, I've performed. I got every point. I was the first. I'm the fastest. Wasn't what it was about. And way later it took me to realize that at this time, I'm like, it's me, and I need to perform really well, or they're not gonna let me in. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing I'm doing. So I go back out, and I'm walking. You're not allowed to walk. You're not allowed to do those things. I'm walking. I'm like, man, I should just quit. They don't like me. They don't want me here. I'm already not doing well on any test. Mm-hmm. I know that. And staff sergeant approaches me. Brian Johnson drives up in his truck, sees me walking. I'm like, oh, he's just another guy who's going to yell at me, condemn me and my efforts. And he said, are you thinking about quitting? I'm like, yes, staff sergeant. He said, don't quit. And he drove off. And that could mean nothing to somebody, but that was like enough of a pickup for me. Like, you recognize my efforts? Like,
sure.
I needed that from the mentors around me. I needed it. And that's all I needed to finish the rest of the time with the same energy and intensity that I had first started with. And I think I was picked dead last. I don't think they wanted to pick me to be there. Everyone else was far more seasoned, highly skilled. But I made it. And it was a big deal for me. And actually, O'Malley came and congratulated me. And that was another thing to me. I'm like, man, this guy, I needed those things at that time.
For sure, man.
I needed recognition from the mentors that were around me, especially the guys that I look up to. Like for sure, for him, I wanted to be like getting into the sniper community. I had just exemplary leadership that was never replicated after that moment. I had a guy, Captain Melander, Olympic level rower, Staff Sergeant Solemn. It's just like anything that we would expect, leading by example. They did it. They talked it, they walked it, they did it. And it was the exact type of mentor I needed, because that's what I was going to do too. I'm going to emulate what I'm seeing, because if you're the absolute professional, that's what it looks like. I want to be that.
Yep.
And I mean, that's wildly important, right? You need those types of guys in your life.
Yeah. Well, like going back to that rite of passage thing, right? As a young man, you're looking for that structure. You're looking for, and we're probably young in our lives, we're looking for external validation, right? We're looking for people to tell us, hey, good job, pat on the back, you know, doing good. And sometimes that shows up, but it's not going to, in that environment, it's going to show up as like little breadcrumbs.
Oh, tiny.
Like little tiny breadcrumbs.
Tiny.
It's there, but everything that we do is you're always under observation, right? Always assume that you're under observation. And you're always under observation because everything is a competition, because just because you completed that selection doesn't mean that it's the end of the road, right? It's just the beginning. Because now, as a professionally instructed gunman, your next goal is to get to school so that you become a hog, right? A hunter of gunmen, because the life of a pig, especially in 7th Marine Regiment, not a good thing.
It's
right?
all bad.
It's all bad. So you have that drive. You're like, dude, I got to get out of this. So I got to go get that tooth, right? I got to get that next step. And even when you achieve that next step, there's more, right? And every time you turn the page, there's just more. And for some young men like that want to chase that's the dragon, right? That's the dragon that we're constantly trying to chase and catch. And it's proverbial, because dragons don't exist. And it's always the next thing. It's always the next thing and the next thing.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Everyone in this space, they weren't trying to break me. They weren't trying to hurt me. And that was different than the kid back in the kitchen.
Sure.
Each one of these guys was asking me to endure more, where I actually noticed that I was healing through this process. And this is about the time that I went to the basic course. Mm-hmm. And I had enough good mentorship that I knew I was going to succeed there. I knew I was going to succeed. And I'm on leave before checking back into the basic course. We're playing soccer in the backyard. I roll my ankle. I tear my calcaneal fibular ligament in the outside of my ankle. And I've got huge edema. I'm in real bad shape. And I can't solve it. It's not like a regular ankle.
Too quick.
It's bad.
It's too close.
And maybe 2 days later, I fly from Spokane back to 29 Palms, check in to get my orders to go to Pendleton and start the basic course. And I walk into the office, and people are aghast. They're like, how are you gonna go to the basic course?
Yeah.
Limping. I'm like, no, I'm fine. No matter what adversity I find there, I'm gonna win. I'm not gonna give my pain a voice. I'm fine. And everyone there is that consummate professional. They're all the same. Most Marines are. And I just tell them, like, that I can do it. I've endlessly performed here physically. I can do it. And they were like,
Well, it's important because there's only so many slots available.
Yes.
Right. So it's like when an organization or a platoon gets 3 slots, I have to send the best 3 candidates because the attrition rate is already high.
Right.
And the chances of all 3 of these candidates passing very, very slim. And so I need to send the best. And that's why you're always being evaluated throughout that whole process. You're just like, hey, so this is my pool of candidates, and I need to be able to select the best 3 or 2 or 4 or whatever quota comes up. I need to send the A team, right? Because it's already an extremely difficult course to get through. So I'm sure that your leadership probably looked at you and they were like, "Hey, you fucking dumbass! What the fuck is this?"
They can't believe it.
Yeah,
they can't believe it.
It's probably bad.
And I just know I'm gonna perform. I have to. I don't have an option. And I'm like, huge edema, limping, can't walk. So they're like, "You better succeed." I'm like, and I said something out loud, and these are just like cut out moments in time for me that stay on replay in my brain. A guy, Major Gibson, was in the office listening to the conversation that I'm having. And I said, "With any luck, I will." And he said, "Come here, Marine. Mm-hmm. We make our own luck." And I was like, shit. And I'd never talked to this guy before. I've only seen him around, like, high-level guy. We make our own luck. And so I'm going to perform. And I go to the first PT session right when you get there, gear check, PT session.
PT test?
They've got all your records of your PFTs, your runs, your times. Before checking in, I'm battalion high PFT. So they're expecting me to do some type of effort. I come in around middle of the pack and I'm limping. And they're like, calls me to the office. "Are you hurt?" I'm like, "No, not at all. I'm 100%. And they're like, "Then you're sandbagging. If you come in middle of the pack again, we're sending you home because you're sandbagging. You're not trying."
You remember who this was?
Actually, I do. It was Matt Castilny, Kill Bodies. And
I'm going to make sure Matt watches this episode.
And I'm like, shit, it's hard. I'm sure it's the same for everybody, but it's really damning to me because these are guys I want to be like.
For sure.
And they're seeing me as a substandard liability. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to sandbag anything. I have to win. For whatever I am healing from, I have to win. So I'm like, shit, I need a new strategy.
I'm on the radar now.
Not in a good way. They're not like, "Oh, Peak, you're such a strong guy. Like, you kind of look like a piece of shit out here." I'm like, Damn, that's not what I want to look like.
Not a good thing.
So the solution I come up with, which works for me, is I get up early before sessions every day and go see the medic, go see the corpsman, have him tape my ankle, completely locked up, can't articulate, no flexion or extension at all, and take a bunch of ibuprofen.
Yep.
And that's how I started every day, every run. And eventually, just using it, I get over that process. The culmination of this thing, though, was, sure, I was hurt, and I'm going to have to learn to do more than endure. I need to perform now, and I need to be, peer reviews, get to the top of the pack, help other people succeed. I can't do that if I'm hurt.
Yeah.
I've really got to buckle down and lock in. And the crux of all this equation was the Discovery Channel chose our class to film Surviving the Cut.
Oh, yeah.
Marine Sniper. And so now my failure is going to be televised.
Man, yeah.
Every moment of what we're doing, we're being recorded. And so even more so now, there's no breaks. Everything's a little accelerated for the film. And I think it's just an added layer of the stress that's already there. Mm-hmm. And again, like, I have to maintain a type of mental fortitude commitment to a standard. I had some great leadership there. Absolutely helped me succeed by giving me their knowledge. Matt Castilny, Daniel Gilland, Josh Husky. Those are our leadership there. And I kept finding myself in these places with, the most stoic type of mentors that I could look to try and emulate, where it kept helping me succeed. And I did really well through the entirety of the program, but in the beginning, I don't know, all of these external things going on, I'm like barely past the known distance shooting course. Gillen tells me, by the skin of your teeth, you barely got it. And I'm like, it's a weight off the back. I think one or two guys fail and it's on camera and they're documenting their failures and their emotions as they've just failed one of the most important schools of your life. Mm-hmm. I don't want that to be me. So there's these, I don't want to be on camera failing.
Right.
I have to succeed. What processes, steps do we need to start putting in place right now? I have to change something right now. Mm-hmm. And I was able to do that. The rest of it was great for me. Stalking I was great at. Got myself under control for unknown distance and ended up passing and getting that coveted hog's tooth, which anyone in that space wants so dearly. Mm-hmm. It's the most important thing that you can get at that time, because it kind of puts you in space with people who've sacrificed it all, put everything on the line. Their minds, their bodies, their life, to carry this standard forward. I'm like, well, if I have this thing, I also have to do the same thing now. And yeah, that was one of the most pivotal moments of my life to get that hog's tooth.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal when it actually comes together, especially when it's your goal and you understand the gravity and the level of accomplishment that goes into that. It's pretty monumental, and it's something that we'll never forget. And then among many things, right? I mean, I've spoken to people that have gone on and done, many things, many accomplishments in their military careers, and like going over to the Army and doing the soft D thing, and having people that have done that come back and say, regardless, Marine Corps Scout Sniper School was one of the most, if not the most difficult schools that I've been through in my entire military career, including this over here, and that's it's a feather in the cap for sure, but it's just a sense of deep accomplishment.
Absolutely.
And knowing that you're part of a fraternity that is extremely...
You've made the base level.
Yeah. That's a very exclusive fraternity.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after this, like everyone else through pipeline, go to team leaders, go to advanced, do some aerial platform shooting. Had done the tactical rope suspension, assault climber course,
all that stuff.
And that's where I had met Michael Truax, who was working at SOTG, later came and became our platoon sergeant at 2-7.
Okay.
So I had some familiarity with him. Our second deployment went on MEU in Westpac, and we're doing rope insertion, spy rigging, and I take a fall. Up until this point, I've used fitness as the expression of the way I've been healing. And up until this moment, that is the way that I cope, manage stress,
Right.
deal with pressure. I'll exercise. I'll get that.
Move this out.
Yes.
Move this out of me into. I need to get it out.
Yeah, and I used that for 6 years up until this point. That's what I did for this, my method to heal for me. I get injured doing the fast rope, blow the PCL, MCL, little meniscus thing, herniate, compress, 3 discs in the lumbar spine, 451, protruding onto the nerve. I'm done performing at a high level, fitness-wise. And this was really challenging for me at the time. I no longer had that initial leadership who was dead set on just looking out for me. They'd put themselves in front of conflict for their guys. I didn't have that same thing anymore. I had an expectation to perform. I didn't have the type of mentors that I needed based on my experience. Maybe they worked for other people. It wasn't going to work for me. And this was a breaking point for me. People looked at me like I was dropping my pack. They're like, well, no, we've seen the level of effort that you can put forward.
Right.
We want to see that. I'm like, I'm so hurt. I can't train to de-stress. I can hardly walk. And I'll still go to the PT, like I can't do nothing. And how that's looked in any organization is malingering. And I don't want that for me. I've never performed in a way or acted in a manner that's me just skating by.
Sandbagging, malingering,
Yeah.
skating.
Yeah, that's just never me.
Yep.
I didn't have the mentorship that was gonna protect me. Like how I had viewed it at the time, like I'm getting so much negative feedback on my output. Like I'm not running the team. I'm not out there training. I'm trying to walk. I'm just trying to get by. And it's not a good time for me where they're like, you're going to have to start putting out or you're out of here. And I'm like, maybe some of my like anti-authority persona is creeping back in.
Sure.
I'm like, well, if you're not going to watch out for me, I'm done. And it was a really bad time for me. I think a lot of people expected me to perform as I had been until they had turned on me. And my saving grace from this experience, because this guy had seen me teaching classes, leading teams, running in-docs with the other hogs in the group. He had been involved, and he was a sniper as well, Gunnar Jones.
Oh, okay.
And he had seen this transpiring around me. I'm not doing well. I'm taking on a lot of conflict. He pulls me out of the battalion. He moves me up with Gunner Carpenter at Regiment to teach marksmanship. And that's a saving grace for me because I'm not going to be able to express or perform the same way anymore. And that really saved me. Michael Truax, Gunnar Jones, they moved me up with Gunner Carpenter up to Regiment, teaching marksmanship. I loved it. It was great. I was looking to get a knee surgery at the time to try and fix what had happened to me. And I kept getting denied the knee surgery until I got to Regiment. They approved it. At this same time, I had applied for a VERC. I'm like, I planned on staying forever. I'm like, actually, I don't want to be around anyone anymore. I don't want to be here. I'm going to take a VERP. I'm going to do something different.
So what's a VERP?
It's a voluntary early out program. At this time, 2012, the Marine Corps is doing voluntary force reduction of force.
Yeah, I remember this.
So you can say, hey, I'm one of those guys. I'll get out early. I'm in my 5th year at this time. I'm like, I'm just going to get out. I'm going to do something else. And everyone around me, especially Gunner Carpenter said, don't do it because you don't have a plan. You have he counseled me. What are you going to do? Right. Where are you going to live?
Yeah.
What have you set up to be able to do that?
Right.
Nothing. And he was like, don't do it. I'm like, I'm going to do it. And so all the things I was asking for, I got all at once. I got approved for the knee surgery, got the knee surgery at Balboa. Whatever happened for me, my surgery failed. My femur cracked, my tibia cracked. I've got huge swelling, huge edema, non-unions at my drilled anchor sites where my bones had turned to cartilaginous tissue. I'm wrecked.
None of that sounds good.
It's all bad.
That sounds really bad.
I'm in the worst shape I've ever been. Ever. And I get approved for my VERP. They say, hey, you have 7 days. You're out of here. You've got to complete all the checkout process.
So even with that medical, they were still like, yeah, like
you're
you
approved.
Go ahead and move.
You're out. And I'm like, well, I can't get out now.
Wow, yeah.
And they're like, nope, VERP's approved. It's signed.
Wow.
You're out. I'm like, shit, I have no plan.
So you weren't on a physical evaluation board? You weren't on any of that stuff?
I didn't have anything. No, it's just...
Holy cow.
And, whatever it is, it doesn't mean anything to me now, but there was a lot of negativity around me doing that surgery as our battalion is preparing for deployment.
Sure.
And so...
it's a mentality, it's a thought process that probably largely unconscious, meaning like you see an activity and you're like, that guy's a malingerer, or he's just.
It's not good.
Yeah, it's not good. None of it's good. Whatever people's perceptions are, those perceptions come from the culture that you're in, right? And until somebody knows you and is really familiar with your personality and what makes you tick, those people are, they're the ones that are be like, nah, man, Vince is pretty fucked up. Like he really is injured.
Right.
Like he's got some really, really complicated stuff going on versus somebody that's seeing it from, a far distance away. It's just like, what the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, well, you see enough people doing the bare minimum.
Sure.
You see someone else do it, you'll batch them together.
Yeah, and like in a sniper platoon, it's different. Depending on what like the battalion and company level leadership, how they view the sniper platoon definitely impacts everybody else's opinion of the sniper platoon, right? Because we all know that a lot of times sniper platoons are looked at as the bastard children, the redheaded stepchildren of the battalion.
Yeah, and especially if they adopt that cowboy persona.
Or if the leadership is contributing to that, right? At the platoon level, like that's super, super bad.
Right.
And we've seen that, of course, like I've seen that come and go, and I'm very fortunate to have some leadership in my career that showed me that's not the way to go. This direction is the way to go. And you show the leadership that you're an asset and that you understand where your role is in this whole thing. You're not this prima donna, special operations dude. You're a fucking infantryman just like everybody else, right? You just happen to have a certain set of skills that makes you a scout sniper, but you're still a Marine.
Right.
And I got invited to be the guest speaker at the final graduating class, Scout Sniper School in Hawaii. Their operations chief over there, we were sergeants together in my 1st Infantry Battalion. He stayed in, and he was the ops chief over at whatever organization the school fell under at that point in time. I can't remember if it was still a division level asset at that point. I can't remember. But he said, hey, will you come be a guest speaker? And I said, sure, I'm down with that. That's amazing. That's fantastic. I mean, that's a great opportunity. I'm very humbled. And the conversation that I had with the students, some of the instructor staff was, listening to the conversation I was having with the students from just a mentorship perspective. And I was explaining to these guys that one of the biggest lessons that I learned as a sergeant, a young sergeant, was how to conduct yourself from a leadership perspective to ensure that the battalion level and upper echelon leadership doesn't look down on you as a group of cowboys.
Right.
And I
'Cause
remember
they won't
this,
deploy you. They won't use you.
they're not going to use you. So this gunny he was a junior gunny. I think he was probably like the chief on his way out. He'd probably picked up gunny and he was on his way back to the fleet. And I remember this guy just had this super shitty attitude where he just kind of was just like, rolling his eyes and just kind of he was just being an asshole. And I remember just watching this dude and I was like, that's your perspective, that's your perception, and you're going to go back to the fleet and you're going to take that with you and you're going to continue to perpetuate this, platoon after platoon. And
Oh yeah, you're
and
gonna
so your
damn a
guys
bunch
are
of
gonna,
guys.
yeah, it's going to be we're not breaking this, we're continuing it. And I didn't care. I was already really steadfast in knowing that I was a civilian at this point, right? So I was working for Magpul at the time. So that mentality is still, it was still there, alive and well. And I think largely that mentality definitely contributed to the downfall of the community and its inability to truly come together and realize that we have to put these lessons learned in place or else nothing's going to change. And I truly believe that the community had to burn in order for it to be rebirthed at some point in time in the
That's
future.
fair. Yeah.
Like, I think it was already too far. I think it was already too far gone for anybody to come together and say, okay, all right, you got MARSOC over here. You got the MARSOC Advanced Sniper Course over here. Now you got the Recon Sniper Course over here that really pissed a lot of people off. And now you got the Scout Sniper Basic community courses over here that are, quite honestly, they were the low end on the totem pole at that point in time. Those dudes over there had
Everyone else is using past experience, making
and evolving,
changes. Yeah.
evolving. And this is stagnant over here. And that's where everybody's egos get fired up. And they're leading with ego instead of leading with pragmatism.
Right. And the battlefield
In
changed.
reality. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
things had to change.
Yeah, for sure. So, people are going to listen to this and, they're probably going to throw stones at me for saying this stuff. And I don't really give a shit because I've watched this thing evolve for 25 years.
Right.
Right. And it definitely needed to happen, in my personal opinion.
It's
As harmful as that is to our, to our souls to look at like, hey man, this thing that we put our lives into is no longer in existence. And it's really tough to swallow.
Yeah, it's not just physical actions anymore. It's all mentality. If things aren't going to change, you're not going to adjust and change things. It's all going down.
It's all going to go down.
All going down.
So we're getting ready to get out of the Marine Corps. You're at a point in time where you're probably feeling pretty, and I don't want to project onto you at this point, but were you feeling demoralized?
I'm down.
You're down, right? You're just getting
down.
crushed.
I'm worst I've ever been. I'm down. I don't have,
This is what, 12, 13 time frame?
Yep, end of 12. I got out
12.
December 2012 on the Verb. I have no plan, I can't move, can't get a job. I get a rare opportunity, and it seemed like that to me even at the time, given what it looked like. Renting a room in the bottom of a dojo, a 5x7 with a cot. I'm like, this is where I'm at. I don't have, a catwalk of guys to interact with. I have none of those mentors. I don't have that senior authority, high level of stature that you have when you've spent, so much time in a fraternity, in a brotherhood. You earn it over time. Just like anyone who gets out, it's like there's a huge gap. There's a huge gap. And can't get a job. I'm still on recovery on the leg. It's botched. I have to get another surgery. This is the first time for me in my entire life where I can't use fitness to heal. I have to find something else. I have to become very much more internalized in managing my emotions. The only things I can do, which when I look back now was such a unique blessing for me, I'm in the basement of a dojo. I'm going to karate every day, and I'm doing such isolated, small, rhythmic movements. None of it's high performing. None of it's terribly hard. But under this instructor, Shihan Montgomery, at this Shotokan Academy, it is highly controlled and extremely specific movements that have to be done in this exact angle, this exact way, this timing. This is my first exposure to this type of control. And what I was gaining from it is I'm not training my body to the extremes anymore. And I can't really do much of anything. I'm training my mind. I'm learning how to control the responses in my mind, how I express myself, and no longer have the ability to show people I can do endurance to the max. I can suffer to the max.
You're doing this now for yourself. And right, okay.
You're right. You know what? That's right. I mean, but yes, and I still wanted to impress this guy, the instructor, Shihan Montgomery, real old martial artist. I'm living in his basement of his dojo. Those things were always there for me. No man's an island. No one's accomplishing anything on their own. These people that I'm mentioning were so pivotal for me because I wanted to emulate the things that they were doing. They were stoic professionals. They were accountable. They had moral virtue and ethic that I wanted to have. I wanted to have those same things. And you're right, this was a point for me where it's very much more mental and personal rather than beating anyone at anything. I'm beating nobody. I'm competing against nobody. I'm just showing up. And it's not a motivation thing. I don't have any. I don't have any motivation to do that. But I do have the discipline from past experience that I need to do this. It doesn't feel the same outward expression that I get from same type of suffering, rucking or running or something. This is a transition for me into mental. How do I control what I think? Why am I having this feeling? Can I even address what this emotion is and why I'm having it? This is a whole turning point for me that I need to gain a deeper control over my mind. And that's really what I say. It was a hidden gem, a blessing in disguise for me. It didn't feel like it at the time. I was still unhappy with what was going on with me. And I stayed in this place for probably 2 years, learning. And only after leaving did I really understand what I was being taught was that self-control. I'm not competing against other people to win. I'm managing myself. I'm learning to manage my emotions, how I feel, how I move, irrelevant of competing against other people, because that's always what I was doing, was trying to win. And now I'm just trying to stay disciplined and accountable to managing myself. One side of it is like, you appreciate this because you do it every day. The craft that you're in is violence and beauty. One piece of this rhythmic expression is an art form, is the beauty of it. And the other piece is expressing violence. And I love the violence. I never spent much time understanding the art of any of it.
Yeah, okay.
And so that that was the turning point for me in, this story that I was living through. It was a pivotal point to try and gain more control over my mind.
Man, that's powerful. That's super powerful. And I think that when we're young, I don't think we're aware enough yet, especially at the ages that most of us were. I mean, what do they say? What do the scientists say? That we're not fully, males anyways, are not fully myelinated. Their brains aren't fully myelinated until you're 25, which is ironically why we can't rent a car until we're 25 years old.
Or up to no good.
Right. So we don't really understand the intricacies of the mental fortitude that we're simply just doing because in our brains we're like, we can't quit. There's no quitting involved, right? When we use the word quit, we're only using that word to describe someone who has. Like quit is not in the vocabulary. It's not in the mental vocabulary. It's only there to describe someone who has made that choice, right? So that's not even an option.
That's true.
It's not even an option. But we don't understand the power behind that and everything that goes into fostering that mindset, I think, until we're obviously later on in life when we have more life experience that shows us these are those traits and virtues that are the result of having that mindset. And you can pick them apart at a deeper level the older that you get and the more life experience that you have. And to see the power and the impact that mentality has over the decisions that you make in your life. So it's all development and it's all evolution. And that's one of the things, like with this craft, I don't think I really started digging into the art form of it probably within the last decade or so, like you were talking about, like, I'm just here to win. I'm here to perform so that way I can win.
Yeah.
And
what else would there be? What else? What else is there to gain?
Yeah, that came a point in time in my career where it wasn't enough anymore. And so you can't, in the game now, in the craft now, with the level of shooter and the proficiency out there with the equipment and everything, brute force is not, it's not happening.
Right.
Okay. Talent is not taking you there. Brute force is not taking you there. The only thing that's going to get you to that level is to truly understand your role in application of that craft, right? Like how you view that craft and how disciplined are you to train? What is your focus and what is the reason behind this? Like, why are you actually chasing this down? Because I personally feel as though that if you're chasing it for the wrong reasons, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you train, no matter how many hours you put in, how many live rounds you send down range with intention and focus, it won't matter if you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
And it's super important. And that's kicked my ass big time in the last few years of my career. I was just getting my ass handed to me. And I didn't understand why. And now, like, I've had a chance to reflect on that, and it was my mindset. It was just my mindset and my self-image of how I showed up. And so that's something that I'm focusing on pretty hard this year and into the next year, because it's the only way. Like, my skills are there, this baseline skills are there. So what is the block? What is this thing that's in my way?
Right.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's like a pivotal moment. I think that everyone has to reach, to evolve, or whatever we would call it, progress, personal development, have to move past that stage.
Sure. Sometimes it's really difficult to do that. And you get these lessons over and over and over again, and you don't really, you're like, okay, this doesn't feel good, but like, what is this actually trying to teach me? Instead of you're just focusing on what the sensation and the emotion is, but you're not looking at what is it trying to teach you.
Yes.
And how can you unpack that?
I feel like that is the literal turning point. Like, if you and I could give that gift to somebody, you can tell it to them, unless they're ready to receive it, they're not hearing it.
Yep.
I'm like, do do I want to keep staying in this cycle of suffering? Because suffering can be good in the right context.
For sure.
Not
It's
if
necessary.
Not if it's perpetual.
Yeah, if you're
so
not
it's like-
hitting it, if you're not evolving out of that.
How do you, if we could give this gift to somebody, it would be to describe the pain teacher. You'll keep getting this lesson of pain until you learn. If you don't adopt this lesson, this learning, we're going back to pain again. I'm like, shit.
Yep.
So I do think it's one of the hardest things to do, and I don't think that I'm an expert at it or anything, but removing the ego from things, saying, well, me, I. If you put your intention on other people first, what am I good at? How do I use that to help other people? You're going to get that in return.
Some people would refer to that as karma and dharma.
Yeah, I'm 100% with that.
Yeah, right. So
Good karma.
if we are operating in dharma, which in the Hindu teaching is living authentically and living your purpose and truth, you'll receive good karma, right?
Right.
However, if we're not in line with that and we're doing something different and we're taking a different path, maybe look at this over here as the power path and this being the force path. If we're on the force path, we're just trying to, just pound this square peg through a round hole type thing. You're going to get karma in return. And that karma is not going to be comfortable.
It's going to be exactly what you gave out.
Exactly. And it's going to be, those are the lessons that we get that we're just like, dude, why the fuck is this? Why is this happening to me right
Yeah.
now? Like, I don't understand what's going on. And it's because we're not living and putting our energy in a direction that is in line with our path.
Right. Yeah, like the more resistance you get, if you don't stop and realize it, everything's going to get more abrasive.
And then once it gets abrasive, right, then that's the emotional side of it. Then the mental side of it starts to just go,
You're going down.
Down a spiral, man.
You
It's
better figure it out early. But that's the importance of...
and then that's where the victim mindset comes from. And you're like, this is all happening to me. And
Oh,
then
gosh.
the ego. And it's just like me, I, like all of those things that you just said, it's reality. It's
And
just
you're
like,
ruined.
Then you're ruined.
You're ruined.
And it's not irrecoverable.
Well, that's fair.
It's not irrecoverable, but it's going to take a long time, right? It's going to take a long time if you're that, just pig-headed, hard-headed, and I'm going to force this and make it work.
Yeah, that's one of the most odd things. Like, I don't like, but I understand the importance of, to a degree, is, well, man up. We'll suck it up. We'll suffer in silence. I'm like, in the right context?
In the right context.
You should.
Yeah.
And if you don't learn from that first lesson, get some help. Find someone to be accountable to, a mentor, a friend. If you don't learn and you end up back on the grindstone, stop.
And it's hard to even have the level of awareness to see that that's where you're at.
That's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where a mentor comes in.
Right.
And
Like,
it's
hey
so
man,
huge.
you're gaffed up.
So huge. It's so really important, man. The having mentors, and that's the reason why we sat down with Modern Day Sniper and the people that we wanted to bring onto the team to continue to proliferate this message and these ethics and morals and mindset is, dude, I don't care if you're a Marine Corps Scout Sniper. I don't care if you're a Green Beret. I don't care if you're Delta. I don't care.
Right.
What are you doing now?
Yeah.
Right. And how are you taking all of those lessons that you learned from that part of your life and applying it and being a mentor to people? Right. People are like, well, I'm an instructor. It's like, do I want to learn from an instructor at this point in time in my life, or do I want to learn from a teacher/mentor?
Big difference.
That's a huge difference, right? An instructor is a dictator, right? He's got this piece of paper, he's got this master lesson file, and he's just like, I am your instructor. And today we're
go there.
Right. So
do this.
and we're going to follow this thing to the T, right?
Yeah,
Right.
even if it doesn't work.
And then the difference between that and a teacher / mentor is a teacher and a mentor have tremendous amount of lived experience. And they're like, yeah, man, I followed that and I've learned that, and that. Yeah, those are good to go. But this, and this, nah, man,
You're gonna get off route.
Yeah, we need to ignore that and then or rewrite that in my own way to come at this in a different perspective, to teach you, right? And people are looking for mentors. And people want to have, at this point in time in culture and society, I believe people are looking to have experiences.
Yeah.
They want to come and have an experience and they want to transform from that experience, right? They want to go from I'm here and I want to get to here and I need somebody to take me there.
Yeah.
I need somebody to guide me there, right? Like a hunting guides, right? Like what do hunting guides do? Hunting guides provide you with an experience, right? They can either hold your hand the whole way, or they can just say, I'm here to show you the way. And when you have this opportunity, it's still on you. Like you have to put the rubber to the road and you got to make it all come together. I got a lot out of helping out guide hunts and see people, meet them where they're at, see what they're going through and how we can tap into their minds and say, hey man, like, yeah, I know, like we're here, we got to go up there. Oh, well, how we eat an elephant? We eat an elephant one bite at a time, bro. We're going to climb that. We're going to climb this mountain one step at a time. You can't quit on me. If you don't quit on me,
that's all.
If you don't quit on me, I'm going to be here with you every step of the way. And every step you take, I'm taking with you.
But that's what you just said is the bottom line denominator to the difference between instructor and mentor. The instructor is going to tell you. The mentor is going with you.
Right.
I'm not going to have you do anything I'm not willing to do right now.
Absolutely.
I'll go.
Yep.
Actually, I'll go first. Yeah. I love that.
And that's not
mindset.
coming from a place of ego either, right? Because you can have an out of balance ego and say,
That's fair.
well, I'm going to demonstrate everything because I want everybody to look at how badass I am.
Yeah.
Right. And then you go, okay, well, yeah, like a pistol instructor goes and just crushes all these targets with like, 1/10 splits and he hits everything. And it's just like, well, why can't you do that? And so,
oh yeah, that'd be, yeah.
like, dude, okay, I get it. You just got up here and you showed everybody how badass you are, but like, how are you going to get them to hear?
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't, that's a different type of demonstration. Right. You know what I mean? Like you can see that, you can feel the energy from
you
that.
would know. Yeah. I'm willing to go first to show you that this process works, that this process works. You can use this process to do the same thing. But I think this is one of the most complicating things is the conscious governor, where we are all self-limiting by what we believe is possible.
For sure, man. 100%. And I think that's what the military helps us learn, especially as young men, right? From your journey, you didn't think you were going to make it, right? You didn't think you were going to make it.
No.
Like, what does this life look like for me going forward? It's not very bright.
Right.
It's kind of bleak, actually, and I need to make a change. The fact that you had the wherewithal at that age in your life to be able to say, man, this is not going to go well for me. I need to make a change. Vince, that's so rare, man. That's so super rare. It's not the normal case, right? So congratulations to you to be able to look back on that and say, well, that's where I came from. And this is where we are today.
Jeez, yeah.
In Vince's gym. Like what you've built here and what you've brought to your customers and the people that come to you to heal is a result of all of those lessons that you've learned.
Gosh, yeah.
Coming up to this point. And that's super impressive, man.
Yeah, thank you.
For sure.
That was important for me. At that end of that timeline, there was, another moment for me. I met my wife, Morgan, and she was studying physical therapy, manual therapy, fascial bodywork. And I had never been exposed to something like this before. And I had done enough of my own internal journey of healing that became an opportunity for me. Because if she had met me a year earlier, I wasn't healthy.
Not ready yet. Yeah.
To be an asset to anybody else at the time.
And so what year was this?
Oh, 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got out in 13. You did you lived, now were you living, let's go back up.
Sure.
Right? So we're at the dojo.
Yep.
You're living in dude's basement, trying to get yourself back to some semblance of what it was before, your physical body.
Sure.
And so was this in Washington? Was this someplace else?
Yep.
Was this here in Spokane?
Yep. I found a job, I'm progressed past, woe is me, and I'm down. I'm like, I just need to get back to moving. And that was the experience for me of gaining control of my thoughts and how I managed my words, my expressions, my emotions around what I'm telling myself about me. And I moved past that. I'm still in the basement, still going to the dojo, but I started teaching CrossFit. I'm like, I got to get back into this community. I need to be in this environment of high-performing people. And that's where I excelled every time before. I'm with high-performing people who have aspirations. Whatever it takes, they're going to do it. I'm teaching CrossFit. Morgan, I've never met her, don't know anything about her. She's on clinicals for her school. She goes to St. Luke's, and she does a drop-in to this CrossFit class. And, she catches my eye. I'm interested in her. I'm giving her a lot of shit because she's new. And I'm vibrant teaching. So I'm like, a new person, show me what you know. Perform. And she gives me a whole lot of shit back, which is entertaining to me. Most people don't. They're just there to do their activity. And she's like,
Nah.
you're not just going to throw shit at me and I'm not going to throw any back. And I'm like, well, that's interesting.
Right.
And so, Morgan and I, we started hanging out. From then on, we stayed together. And the thing that I learned about her really early on, and I was prepared for this because I had done my own healing. And people probably don't like this word, and they'll probably have to understand, listen to what you and I are talking about to get the whole context. But she was a healer. For being in her energy, being around her was a calming thing to my body.
For sure. Okay.
I wasn't performing, acting, needed to win anything, to do anything to appease her. I could just be myself. In a good moment, in a bad moment, made no difference to her. And I'm like, wow, the type of regulation that she had over her own self, I really gravitated towards. Like, you're calm, cool, collected. You have a sense of healing to me that I was really intrigued by. And we spent a lot more time together. Obviously, been together for 12 years now. I learned this about Morgan as, we've built this business together, and, where we are now, we're at the therapy spa where Morgan and I, we work together, and we built this business at our old house, where I'm in the garage teaching training and she's in the living room doing body work. We got an ice bath upstairs in our bathtub, a sauna in another room. We're piecing it together.
You're piecing it together. You're making it work.
We both know this is what we want. We want to heal other people. We both were doing the same thing, and I think that's why we came together so well. Like, we both want the same thing. We have vastly different lenses, but they had so much synergy. Like, she is healing people's bodies, targeting the nervous system, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm healing their mind. I'm exposing them to movements, a type of physical hardship that's challenging their mental capacity, their fortitude of what's possible. And we accomplish those each time. But just like you said, we're not eating the whole elephant at once. I'm giving them, I'm looking at everything we measure, we analyze. Like I'm looking at everything about someone's body. I've gone through it. I know what works, what doesn't work. I'm willing to learn new things and test things. We're adding things all the time because there's not just one way to do things.
Right.
And nobody is the same. Some patterns could be the same, but there's so many. So I have to keep evolving. And that's where we've really found a lot of success is we are using our different lens to look at the problem from different angles and then come together and mutually come up with solutions for the people that we see. And they're not one-sided. And it's not a script that we're going to follow. Oh, it's your knee, you need this angle, you need to do some squat. Like, it may not be. It could be down the chain, it could be up the chain. We've really had so much success doing this and now this is what we're doing full time. Like, the more people that we can heal with this type of movement, it's rewarding to me because I'm still healing myself.
Yeah.
I'm still using this process. It may be never ending, but I think that's one of the biggest things, and maybe it's like a cliche type of thing to say, but I believe it so much. It's not where you're trying to get to. It's the journey.
It is the journey. Everything is the journey, because the journey is what's giving you the lessons, as long as you're open to receiving the lessons on the journey. So Vince, tell me, what is the name of your company?
Well, we're called Northwest Elite.
Northwest Elite.
And so Morgan's side of it, she's doing fascia, body work, measurement, muscle testing, activation. And that's her therapy spa side, all highly in person, you know, because it's very kinesthetic, tactile, touching, palpations. She has like a highly unique skill of feel that I'm highly interested in it too. I want to know it. I don't have this like palpation, tactile skill she has to feel changes in tissue. And there's other people who do. Morgan's the most skilled one that I know, and I'm biased.
Well, I can attest to the fact that the last time that we were here, a couple, 3 weeks ago, I injured my shoulder a few months back, and it was like I thought that it was something worse than it was. And just spending 30 minutes with Morgan, she was able to teach me more in 30 minutes. And not only was she able to teach me that in 30 minutes, I was able to feel a change after the interaction. Like, I had gone to physical therapy for 3 months, 3.5 months, and like 2 to 3 times a week. And I mean, it was just this, just wasn't the same experience.
Right.
So she knew right where to go. She knew right what to look for.
It's really unique.
You know, I'm not going to say anything bad about the physical therapists that I did encounter. Not at all. Like,
right.
But I got more out of our time with Morgan and yourself while we were here. And what you guys have going on here is we don't have anything like this in Yakima, and which is kind of a bummer, because if we did, you know, we'd probably live there. So we just felt really good. We felt amazing having spent just a couple of hours with you guys and experienced some of the modalities, just a very, very small sliver of the modalities that you guys offer to your clients. That makes a huge difference in their lives.
Like you're describing the situation with Morgan and looking for a solution for what you're dealing with. I think that's where we've specialized, is this core philosophy that we both share, but we approach it from different angles. The body can only heal as much as the brain believes. And so where she's working is along nerve lines. Hey, the brain is always going to do protection first. You're going to get an injury, or you're going to get an overuse, which is the same thing. It's acute. And you're going to make a compensation to this you're going to make a new movement pattern. Your brain is going to down-regulate a firing signal through your nerve line to a muscle group, not let it activate and cause muscle atrophy, and also provide tone to the nerve where it's always on, always firing. And we both approach it from the same mindset using different techniques. Like Morgan's gonna feel it, compress it, work on facilitation and distortions in the tissue to get the nerve to turn off, stop firing with so much tone, allow the muscle to rest. Myself, I'm going to put the body in positions using techniques and all at-home style tools. You don't need any of the machines or equipment to perform these movements. They're all biomechanical movements. Challenge that quad, the vastus medialis, the leg, the shoulder, in challenging positions to overcome what the brain is limiting the movement. And if we can put the body in these positions, I mean, this is the core tenet of where we're focused, of healing the body by making sure the brain believes it. It's all mental at the stage of it. If we can show the brain that this motion, this movement is safe, we're going to unlock that control back for that person. They're going to be able to use that, have more activation, more mind to muscle control, to have more of that capacity back autonomously for themselves, rather than the brain locking this muscle down, locking this movement down. It's going to send pain. You're going to feel pain because it's going to say, hey, I need to protect myself. I have to defend what's happening here. If I let you have this motion, last time you did, you hurt me. Now you can't have this motion again. And so both of us are working synergistically to expose the root pain and then move it to the next stage on my side. You know, I call endure, and give you the control back over that nervous system where you can make those movements, teach the brain that it's safe, and then use that to its full expression pretty quickly. But I feel like one of the things that we see the most is on my side of it, and not talking about any other person, just my lens of what I see looking out, is everyone jumps to expression first. Speed, velocity, weight. Everyone's looking to have the expression without first the control.
Okay.
And so then that's when the system becomes disorganized. And so I approach it the same way that you do. If someone's going to be successful, they need to have a plan. And that plan needs to have a process. And you need to repeat that process enough where you can replicate it under stress. And that's the exact same thing that I'm trying to accomplish with people. But it's not just fitness or mental focus or basketball or shooting. Everyone has to have a process to be successful. You can't just go do it. Some people will be successful early on because they have some talents. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But those talents won't be expressed if you don't have a process to develop the skill.
That's a totally fair assessment. I mean, me personally, I've run into that myself, trying to rely on talent to perform well. And there's a certain point where talent's only going to get you so far. Right. And if you don't have the pieces of the puzzle to put together that pathway, talent's just going to sit there and rot, right? So you got to have the discipline, and you have to have the pieces of the puzzle to get you along that pathway and the systems in place. Right. It's really important.
And like you and I have talked about this whole time, don't do it alone. Mm-hmm. You will be wildly more successful finding an experienced teacher to guide you to where you want to go.
Indeed.
Wildly more successful.
Absolutely, man. So let's talk about what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
With the forthcoming masterclass that you have ready to release with Modern Day Sniper. What's up with that? Tell me about it.
Yeah, it really falls on the core tenet of how do you access your own healing through your mind. And these are, they're sayings that are so overused. I think they don't hit home sometimes. One of the most basic ones is, if your mind can believe it, your body can achieve it. And that's really where we start at. The master class that we're releasing is targeted at healing movement, releasing tension in the body, gaining mobility. Like one very basic thing I could give an example to. You hear it all the time with people. Let's just say the hamstrings. Mm-hmm. People say, "Oh, your hamstrings are tight. It's gonna pull your back into lordosis. Pull on your hip flexors. Now your glutes are underactivated, don't fire, and your abdomen. So now you have so much lumbar pressure, and the thing that is most recommended is stretch. Stretch it out." I'm like, man, if stretching was so effective, why would this be so recurring?
Sure.
And not to put any negative context onto stretching. I think it's important. Everything is important. Anything you do consistently is going to give you a result. Mm-hmm. The real solution, I think, is not as expressed as much. Is actually, you need to put that tissue at its greatest length, lever its moment arm, and then contract it in that weak phase where it's most stretched. When you're concentric and you're contracting, which is where most people end up working their tissue, you're missing the full range. And so when your body at, let's say, game speed, running, moving, switching barricades, gets into a lengthened position, that's where you're going to experience injury. That's where you see everyone experience injury, is when they're lengthened. Because training the end range isn't something that's sexy. It's not flashy. You're not going to feel. I think that's the main problem that we're going to try and address in the master class, is how do you move? A lot of the mentality and the thought process around training is, well, I need to get really tired. I need to feel fatigue. I should feel muscle soreness, and I should be sweating. I should have a high heart rate. If I do that consistently, I'll get results. And it's absolutely not true. Otherwise, that would have worked already. Slowing it down, this pattern and process, organizing the system first, is what the master class is about. Let's slow it down. Let's reorganize how the system communicates and fires. And then one of the pieces, train the end range of motion. All of the work that's done is basically on a Swiss ball. A big exercise ball is really the only thing you need. And the movements challenge that coordination with brain to body. And they're all really unique. It was most published by this group called Sports Science Lab, where we've taken the certifications from, among many others, because we're always learning, always wanting to know more. Gavin McMillan was a mentor under this, Gavin McMillan was an intern under Marv Marinovich, who built an exercise system called the Marinovich program.
Okay.
And this is where all of our work is really based around too. And Gavin took this work and highly advanced it. A lot of people are still doing the base system. That's fine. It absolutely works. Gavin and his wife, Candace, took this base system from his internship there and wildly expanded it, pushed peer-reviewed publications around the advancements and the innovation that they were using to change the expression of the body with the least amount of effort. And so that's one of the core tenets of it, is tension. Doing more effort, having more tension, is going to give you a negative result. And so that's where I was most interested in this type of process, using Gavin and Candace McMillan's work from the Sports Science Lab is, to me, it's basic. All of the information is highly complex. I want to make it so simple. The least amount of effort, the greatest result. I'm like, gee, who wouldn't want that?
Right.
That sounds fantastic.
It sounds great. Sign me up.
And then doing it, I'm like, this is the hardest thing to do, actually. The movements are challenging because they're ones that are not practiced. And so that's where it drew a lot of interest to me. It's just like a similar program with a guy named Ben Patrick, Knees Over Toes.
Oh, yeah.
His philosophy is what you do forward, do in reverse.
Do in reverse.
And I'm like, how simple. None of it is instantly easy. You have to do the base work to get the results of the expression. Faster, pain-free, mobile, flexible. You have to do the work. This is the same thing. All the exercises are vastly easy. You have to do the work. And I've been doing this program with every age range and type of person for about 1.5 years now, really focused on using this program. And I've received wild results from people that it tells me that we're on the right path. We're doing the right thing. We're solving people's pain. We're unlocking movement for people that they've never had the ability to express. When I see that, that's the reward that I'm going after. For me is, I've been in the same position. I know what it's like. I want to solve that for other people as well. So using this program of the masterclass, ballistic movements, isometrics, reciprocal inhibition, being able to turn muscles on and off really quickly, gaining greater control over your own nervous system is going to give you speed, flexibility, and strength. And the general fitness world wouldn't understand it.
Right.
Because they're using a different model, which is great, which is fine. Most of those lead to injury. And those are the kind of people that I end up seeing the most. They've been injured. I want to get out of injury. And I really resonate with that. Me too. Let me help you do it. And if I can help you do that, that's wildly rewarding to me. I know it's wildly rewarding to Morgan to see a change with the least amount of input and the greatest amount of expression. And so that is the masterclass. It's how do you move? How do you use less effort, use less tension, gain speed, flexibility, greater stamina, control, and calm your mind? Because I think it all comes down to that. But don't do it alone. For my program, I endlessly preach this. Pain is personal. Suffering is shared. Don't do it alone. You can find people that are willing to endure with you. If you don't, you're in the wrong group. Move. Find people that are willing to suffer with you. Up and down. We're going up together. We're going down, I'm going down with you. But we're going to rebuild it if we stay together, if we stay focused on the main goal, which is accomplishing whatever the tenet, the virtue, the thing that we were after. So yeah, that to me, that's the mental piece of the masterclass. Is we're going to do it together. You're not going to suffer alone. We're not going to give pain a voice. We're going to use that pain signal as a stimulus, as an awareness for when we need to dial back. And we're going to creep, and move past that. What's really nice about the masterclass is it's self-progressing. If you're starting at a more base level, that's great. It's absolutely built for that. You don't have much other experience in this space. It's fantastic. It's so basic to utilize in the base level, and the progression is wildly easy to do as well. We come from laying prone or supine on our stomach or on our back to standing. And it's wildly easy to progress. If you say, the base level's too easy for me, I need to progress forward, you can. You can easily progress all the movements to your skill level, to your level of athleticism. But what I've seen, I've got high school guys, I've got college guys, semi-pro athletes, all of them start at zero because it's not something anyone is used to.
Right.
So
Okay.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely know that it works. I think some really unique things that we're going to add into there, which is going to set a completely new standard around this level of activity, is how to self-analyze, how to do an assessment on yourself or with a partner. So I know where my limitations are. We have a template where you can use just a regular flexible measuring tape to take this self-assessment, really identify where you are. It's going to say, based on your measurement, all individual to you. This isn't like a group template. This is highly specific to you. I measured my sit and reach. I measured my ankle dorsiflexion. Here is the minimum standard, and this is also built by the Sports Science Lab.
Okay.
Here's the minimum standard. If you fall under, it's red. If you meet it or exceed the threshold, you're green. We're not going to focus all of your training in your green. We're going to focus on where you're weak.
Got it.
We're going to fix that asymmetry to bring you back to neutral. And from neutral, we're going to move you forward and progress you. But we're not going to jump to expression first. We're going to first create a plan, analyze, assess, define, create a plan around your assessment, and we're going to organize you first. Organize the movement, organize the nervous system, organize the fascia. Once you have organization, process, and pattern, that is when you progress to looking at expression.
Interesting. Well, having looked at it and seen, several of the exercises, several of the movements, I think it's going to be tremendously beneficial for people in the shooting community, from the standpoint of anytime that we have the ability to move our bodies more freely with less effort, we're going to have better results, especially with a rifle, right? The most important aspect of marksmanship is natural point of aim. And in order for us to achieve a natural point of aim, the body must support itself in order for it to maintain that position of neutrality and long enough for us to deliver a precision shot without moving the rifle, right? So one of the things that I open up with now when we talk about fundamentals of marksmanship in class is the dispersion characteristics of the rifle, right? So we say, okay, what are the two major contributing factors to dispersion or the accuracy of your rifle? Well, it's how the bullet interacts with the barrel, right? We could have a bullet that doesn't really like that barrel, right? It doesn't interact with that chamber or the rifling as good as another projectile or potentially another one, right? So, but the second aspect of that is, where is the barrel pointing at the instant that the bullet uncorks from the muzzle? Okay, so if we then look at that from mathematics and angles, well, if I move the buttstock and I'm shooting at a target at 100 yards away, if I move that buttstock 0.03 of an inch and there's a laser pointer through the barrel and I could see it on the target at 100 yards, well, that's going to move that laser 0.5 of an inch physically because it's an angular unit of measure. So that means in order for a shooter to maintain that high or that low degree of dispersion that we're all looking for, well, that's mathematics, right? So, and then if that gun is connected to me and I'm influencing every which way that muzzle points, I'm part of the process. And so if I can learn how to move my body with more ease and efficiency to get into these positions that require, so the lower body must position the upper body properly to connect with the rifle in order for us to achieve a natural point of aim. So lower body movement is really, really important because maybe it's a low kneeling position or it's a middle of the road kneeling position or a standing position. Well, that lower body is that's the foundation. That's the stability. That's where everything comes from. And I have to be able to analyze a position and say, okay, based upon the height of that, I know that I'm going to be in a kneeling position.
Oh yeah, these are all like mental gymnastics you're doing on the fly.
Exactly. You're analyzing these positions as you go to shoot these events, or maybe it's a competitive shooting event, it's a PRS match, or maybe it's an NRL hunter / field match, and you're shooting off of natural features, right? Rocks and trees, and You have things in the way that you have to navigate and overcome using your own equipment to build the position, to clear the obstacle, bipods and tripods and all that stuff. But we have to be able to analyze that and look at it and say, okay, what position do I need to put my body into to make this all work? And you have to be an athlete, right? You got to be an athlete in order to be.
You got to be able to move.
You got to be able to move at this high level position. So, like as an example, a PRS skills stage barricade, right? So it's 5 positions, firing 2 shots from each position at a 2 MOA target, 1 shot, and then at a 1 MOA target or 1.5 MOA target for the second shot. And that's all for time, and it's usually used as a time break or a tiebreaker.
It's hard.
It's tough. And so hits are always gonna be prioritized over time. But then when you got dudes that are going out there and cleaning that PRS skill stage barricade in less than 30 seconds, you got to look at this and go, okay, like my movement needs to be absolutely on point. Like
the efficiency.
It has to be efficient, right? And I have to be able to take 1 step and position 1 foot and then the second foot, and it's got to be there. That natural point of aim has to be there. And so learning how to do this, what you're putting forth in this masterclass is an absolute game changer for people when it comes to learning how to manage their bodies, get those joints more lubricated so they move more efficiently. Like, this is huge.
Oh man,
it's absolutely huge.
Just generally feeling better. I think being healthy is one of the biggest luxuries that people kind of overlook. Health is base level for everybody. I need to be healthy. I need to be able to move, and I want to be able to move well. So being out of pain, I think, is one of the most expensive things that anyone's after.
For sure. Because in this day and age, man, it's not cheap, right?
But isn't that interesting about...
how weird is that? How bizarre is that? You know, it's just like, hey, if I want to be healthy and if I want to eat good, clean food, I essentially have to be wealthy. How bizarre is that? Unless you live on a ranch, right? Unless you live on a farm.
And then you're well off.
But then that requires a tremendous amount of physical work and mental work to be able to live that lifestyle, right? That's not easy. That's not easy at all, right? You want to raise your own food. You want to eat clean food. You're either going to pay for it. I had a guy tell me once, talking about like project management. And he was just like, listen, you got this goal that you want to accomplish. There's 3 things that go into this: time, money, and resources, right? Those 3 things are going to contribute one way or another to achieving this goal. And he said, well, if you don't have a lot of time, then you better have a lot of resources and a lot of money. Right? And if you don't have a lot of money, you better have a lot of resources and a lot of time. And so all those 3 things kind of, you can slide one over here, but the other 2 have to make up for that gap. And in order for us to become whole competitive shooters or whole athletes, like all of that has to come together, right? You have to nourish your body. You have to take care of your body. You have to take care of your mind. You have to be very, very aware of what your thoughts are and where those thoughts are taking you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And there's a lot of this stuff can become esoteric very, very quickly. And sometimes people are just like, nah, that's some woo-woo bullshit. Sure. Like, I'm just gonna power through this with Mountain Dew, some Copenhagen, you know what I mean, and some good old fashioned elbow grease hard work.
Yeah.
And it's like, man,
it's not it.
That ain't it, bud.
The teacher's gonna walk with you, be with you.
Right. Absolutely. That's super important. And being able to have that connection with your students is what we strive for at Modern Day Sniper, right? And we see such a diverse group. You could have law enforcement dudes that show up with their own set of expectations and egoisms. And then we have civilian shooters that they show up with their own set of expectations and egoisms. And a lot of times with all the commonality between those 2 crowds, or the 2 extreme ends of the spectrum there, is that they're both ultimately nervous. They're both ultimately nervous to be there because they don't want to be that guy.
Right.
They don't want to be the person that holds a class up by asking a question that is implied knowledge, right? And we had a group of students, and I asked everybody a question at the end of the class it was like the last night for dinner. And I said, how many of you guys were nervous when you showed up on the first day? And it was like 7 hands immediately shot up.
But if you would have asked day one,
None. Mum's the word.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything because I don't want to, you're looking around going,
yeah, I'm not nervous.
I'm not going to be that
I'm
guy.
ready to go.
Right. So, but then when it all shakes out at the end, people are like, yeah, I actually was nervous.
They're all
And you go,
experiencing the same thing.
well, yeah. And what was it that you were nervous about? It's generally your self-image. It's like,
Yeah, you don't want to underperform.
yeah, you don't want to underperform.
You want to uphold the standard that you believe's there across the board, but generally that's never true.
Yep.
And I think that's what's so unique about what you and I are doing together with the master class is so many people want to get ahead and work on expression first, power, speed, weights. That's prior to organization. And I think that's what you do so well, and where Morgan and I try and focus is you can't get to expression first without first participating in organization. You need a program, you need a process, you need to use your checklist, you need to go through that program every time as a procedure so you can mitigate errors that you're going to experience. And so,
Man, perfect example. Okay. So I tripped on myself in this situation. I went to go shoot a rifle match, the one that I was talking with you about
yes.
last week, right? So I went and I pulled the barrel off my Accuracy International ATX rifle, pulled the 308 barrel off, put a 6.5 barrel on. What I neglected to do was tighten the tenon cross bolt, right? Because it's a quick change barrel system. So you have one tenon cross bolt and you thread the barrel, you loosen that, take the barrel out, put a new barrel in, and you just thread it down to the shoulder, tighten it with your hand, and then apply 49 inch-pounds of torque to the tenon cross bolt. Well, I did not do that. And I went through about 150 shots and everything was fine. I did a whole training day, opened up with a cold shot at a minute of angle target at 800 yards. One shot, and then I hit it 10 for 10 from 10 different positions.
There we go.
And I'm like, hey man, okay, I'm like, the rifle's good, everything's jiving, let's go to train, right? So me and a couple buddies, we shot for the afternoon and trained together as we usually try to do on Fridays. And so I go home super happy, everything's jamming, we're having a good time. Go to the match that morning, and I confirm a dope on a target at like the farthest target on that range is only about 630 yards. And there's a little 6-inch square out there. So I go shoot at it. And I noticed my dope's about 2/10 low. And I was like, that's odd. Everything's the same. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna, okay, whatever, retune. Everything's, I'm good. I hit it a couple more times and I was like, all right, let's go. Well, the first stage of the day was a 2 MOA target at 400 yards. No wind, 440. Easy target. I missed it on first shot. Went off the left edge. I said, okay, no problem. I'm like, I don't think there's wind out there, but clearly there's something. So moved it over 3/10 to the right and went next 9 shots, hit it 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through 9. I'm like, okay, that was weird. Confidence is there, but then so the next stage, and that's when everything kind of started to fall apart. And I had to hold the opposite direction of what the wind was doing in order to hit the target. And I was like, okay, something's not right. Like, let's go to the zero board. And so I go to the zero board and I'm thinking to myself, man, nothing's changed. Like, what's going on? And I start going through the circle of components, the process, the step by step. And then I started to think to myself, as I was walking to the zero board, I was like, man, what did I not do? What did I not do? And I'm starting to think, it's the tenon cross bolt. I did not recall tightening the tenon cross bolt. And sure enough, man, I went to the truck, grabbed the toolkit out, and the tenon cross bolt was loose. And I zeroed the rifle, and it was 0.3 of a mil left and 0.2 low. And I'm like, man, tighten it down, right back, and I only dropped 2 more shots the rest of the day.
You know what's crazy about that is most people don't have a process, wouldn't have known what to do. But I mean, I've been to your courses. You have programs, processes, checklists, procedures to follow. Other people, they haven't had experience with that, and that's no different than exercising or training or playing a basketball game. You're not going to be able to make corrections to things that happen in real time if you didn't have that process that you use. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, being able to, instead of finishing the day and not performing well, you can go back to the procedure, fix the error, and then get back after it.
And one of the things too is like trying to teach people, okay, at what point in time do I look at it and say it's not me, right? Because
you'd have to let go of the ego.
That's a tough one, right? That's a tough one because we always tell the students, hey, don't ever, your gun is not the issue, right? Your gun's not the issue. Everything
rarely
provided that everything is working as it should, right? And hey, it just goes to show that we can still make mistakes, and that we have to follow that process. And once you follow that process, everything is in place. And it's really why we came up with the masterclass idea to begin with, because there was all of this information that we were teaching over and over and over again that we were like, hey, let's put this all into a format that people can then revisit, right? Jacob Bynum was the first guy to do it. He basically said, I teach this fundamental class, this 1.5 hour long class, literally twice a week, and it's the same thing. So then what he started doing is he pre-recorded it.
There we go.
And he just puts it up and he walks out. He said, I'll be back in about an hour, right? Watch this video. And so then he comes in and then he answers the questions that are there, and he goes on with his class. And so that was really the genesis of what our take was on the master classes. And people really gravitate to it because it's something that they can come back to, and they can learn at their own pace, which is really cool with what you're doing with you and Morgan, is that you guys have the ability to put stuff out there and people can learn at their own pace. Right, in the comfort of their own home.
I mean, I'm really excited about the master class because on our end of things, we've seen the same inaccuracies. And not to like comment on what other people are doing. I think all programs are great. Anything you do consistently is going to work. We've said that before. Where I think that there's a huge gap is knowing what to do. Like, and the same problem on the fitness side. There's an endless amount of content out there. And anything's going to work, but not all of it's going to be efficient or effective for each person, and everyone is different. And I think where this masterclass that we're doing together is going to help so many people, because what we're coming to solve is this idea of effort, like applying more effort, harder. I mean, it's the same thing that we were discussing, the misconception with most training programs. I need to do more effort to have more expression of the outcomes. I need to add more weight. I need to be tired. I need to be sweaty and exhausted, have a high heart rate to get results. All hard work's not good work. Sometimes you need to dial it back, develop a process. And that's what we've seen on the fitness side. And I think this is where the masterclass is really going to shine, is we take things back. We regress things to organization first. How does the body organize? How does the brain communicate to the muscle? How can we remove tone of the nervous system to allow that person to regain control of that tissue? Because I know we've reiterated this, but the biggest limiting factor is the brain. The brain's always going to protect. And if you've had acute injury, some kind of compensation or overuse pattern, your brain is sending a guarded signal to that muscle group. You've compensated a movement pattern. As much activity as you do, you'll never go back, regress, and solve that initial organization process with your body, regain that movement. And so the masterclass is really going to give people the individual tools to solve those problems on their own, because we go through evaluations and assessments, analysis, so you can define on your own, and you can use a buddy. And we have like flexible tape measure, all of these things you could take on your own and solve, or at least identify first, the issues that you have. Because all the fitness masterclass for the endurance and the prehabilitation is really based around simple home tools that everyone's going to have, or it's easy to access. All you need is this Swiss ball, because our program is really built around either prone or supine exercises. You're either laying on your back or on your stomach. Any level of athleticism or fitness or capability of flexibility, mobility, they're going to be able to start at the base 0. And if you're a more experienced athlete, you've done more movement, you've been exposed to more types of exercise programs, maybe you want to progress and start somewhere else. I think that's where this masterclass is really going to flourish, because it's self-paced. The entire program is self-paced. If you think that you're a little farther ahead than the 0 and you want to progress to 2, 3, and 4, you can easily do that. It's self-prescribed, where you can access and gain more of that control based on where you are in your own fitness journey. But I've had, every level of body type in here, young to old, high school, college, semi-pro guys. Everyone actually starts at 0, because these exercises, they're simple and they're complex. And so I think that's where people are going to have the most benefit, is they're going to do movements that they don't have prior experience with. And most programs don't teach it because it's not flashy, it's not sexy, but they're the base organizational movement patterns you need to progress into advanced movements, techniques, any level of athleticism. It's going to be based on this masterclass, these series of tenets that we've placed into the masterclass. Once you've learned them, you know them, you can apply them to any other thing that you're doing. So I think it's going to help a lot of people.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And, like just looking at everything that you guys have built here in your therapy spa and all of the modalities that you have, this place is like it's a gold mine. Right? It's a gold mine of opportunity to heal yourself. And, when you do show up here, you're under the guidance of yourself and Morgan. And just working with Morgan on my shoulder, I mean, it was immediate. Like I felt immediate change. It wasn't like there was some immediate relief, and I wanted to pay attention to that to like make sure that it wasn't either placebo or anything of that matter. I mean, there's still definitely soreness there, but major relief of tension. Right. So it's a major relief of tension, and it made a tremendous difference.
I like that, because I feel like that's the number one pain that most people are actually suffering from, is too much tension, too much guarding, too much activation. Giving them more tension exercises isn't going to solve the base or the root problem. So yeah, I do think that I think it's pretty spectacular that you were able to experience it hands-on. I mean, one of the things of the masterclass is a lot of people aren't going to be able to come here and do it in person. Yep. And so it also gives us an opportunity to share this with people who, they don't live in Eastern Washington. They're not going to have access to this type of training. They're going to be able to do this from the comfort of their own home or wherever they're at. They're traveling. You have access to this type of information, be able to employ it wherever you are. And it's all simple. They're very subtle exercises, but they're all of them are going to be really challenging to the body to actually let go of tension, allow your body to relax, and that'll start them on that path of healing journey.
Yeah, from what I've seen so far with the videos, just kind of like going over what you have structured, because you've recorded all of it for the most part.
We got 100 videos
and
or so.
So now we got to basically put it into the system and organize it in the way that you want it, and just the movements. And I'm looking forward to doing them for myself, just to see see myself and say, okay, like, how is this all going to work? And then watch it be applied to shooting positions, watch it be applied to general mobility and overall wellness. Because I mean, really, when you wake up in the morning and when you're stiff and you're sore and you wake up, it's not the best way to start your day.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
health is such a luxury.
It's a huge luxury. I mean, I don't know if this was, we already talked about this before we had our technical difficulty with this, but remaining healthy nowadays is hard. It's not easy, and it's not cheap, right? If you want to eat healthy, wholesome food that is free of all of the garbage that is put into the mainstream, it's number one, it takes effort. Number two, it's discipline. And number three, there's a cost associated with it. And unfortunately, it's like not everybody has the ability to do that nowadays. And it's super, super sad to look at that and go, we were talking about it the other day when it comes to walking the grocery store, right?
Oh, right.
The peripheral of the grocery store is where we want to live, right? If we got to cruise into one of those center aisles, it's got to be for something that.
Yeah, don't be perusing. Be specific.
Man, yeah, you got to, and even then, you have to look at what it is that you're consuming. It's super important, very, very important, and it definitely goes directly into how you feel.
Right.
Absolutely.
I hope that's what we get from all the community who participates in the master class is less effort, more efficiency at being healthy, being able to move, see some more guys and gals up on the podium.
Absolutely, man. I mean, the efficiency is the huge part about it, and then being able to move efficiently and feel healthy is massive. And the cool thing about the modern day rifleman community, Vince, is that everybody is in there. It's just such a different place than the rest of the internet is when it comes to like shooting sports. And I mean, people on the general internet are just really not kind to one another.
It's pretty toxic.
It's pretty toxic, man. So that's just something that we don't tolerate inside the Modern Day Rifleman Network. We're just like, hey, everybody that's in here is here for a reason. And that reason is to, number one, learn, and number two, be a part of everybody else's success.
Right.
And that's super huge and very important to us, and we don't mess around with that.
Well, I've seen that on the community page too. I mean, regardless of your skill level, you can get on there, ask a question. No one's gonna make you feel lesser. Everyone, what I've seen is people are gonna answer the questions, provide you information. You're gonna be taken care of there. And so there's no bad question.
Right.
Right.
And there's no such thing as a stupid question.
Right.
And so like you can
And everyone
ask
there has been super nice.
Yeah, and everybody there is like, yeah, I was a new shooter sometime too, and there is no implied knowledge, right?
Right.
And I'm not here to like bestow you with the grace of my depth of knowledge, right? It's like everybody's here to learn together.
Yeah.
So,
And they want to help each other. I think that's what sets all of this apart from everything else.
I think the community is just gonna welcome this as just one more addition to an overall growth and performance. So where can people find you, Vince? Like where can people find you if they're here in Eastern Washington and they want to come check out your facility and hopefully relieve some ailments?
Oh yeah, I mean, we see a lot of in-person people. A lot of people travel up here. I mean, we're in Spokane, north of Spokane, but super close by. And we get a lot of people that do travel, but I mean, it'd be rare for someone to come all the way out of the way here. And so I think another place they can find us is going to be on the MDS Masterclass to get access to this type of movements that we do here. But if they want to travel, I mean, they're open to come hang out with us over here in Eastern Washington.
So you have a website?
Yeah.
And so what's the website?
Yeah, our website is northwestelite.com. And really on there, we've tried to put a breadth of information out, what we do, why we do it, why we think it works, who's it worked for and how. So there's a lot of information on there if someone wanted to read up before they came maybe to an in-person or wanted to get some more information about where we learn these techniques, how we've applied them. So yeah, northwestelite.com. All of our booking and packages are on there as well.
So social media, you have Instagram?
Yeah, we use it.
Yep.
Yeah, same thing, Northwest Elite.
Okay, and what about YouTube channel? YouTube channel?
We haven't, but we're going to start pushing some things out there. One of the biggest things that we really want to push out there is how to self-analyze. We've seen it just across the board with most programs. They don't emphasize it enough. How do you assess, analyze yourself so you know where you have inefficiencies and asymmetries? Organization in the process before you move it forward. And so I think that's where we're going to put a lot of effort and emphasis moving forward. Awesome,
man. I mean, from this is obviously the first time you've been on the show, and we have there's so much room for growth and expansion of these conversations and going on tangents here and there and talking about different things. So I'm really excited to have you be more of a part of the Modern Day Rifleman community and the Modern Day Sniper Mentor Program. That's super important to us as we grow and expand Modern Day Sniper. We want to be able to introduce people to just a wider breadth of experience in terms of, I don't want modern day sniper to ever become an echo chamber, right? We should always be reaching out, and we should always be expanding and evolving our knowledge and looking to people to help us continue to grow, right? It's super important to me.
Yeah, we're super excited, Morgan and I. We find it most rewarding to use our skills, our efforts to help other people. And when we've solved someone's pain, their problem, given them more control back over the body, I mean, that's what I'm here for. That's what I love. I know Morgan loves that too. So,
man,
we're excited.
Yeah, I'm stoked too. So, so for all of you guys that are listening, this masterclass is coming. We're going to start fleshing out the last little bit of it on the modern day rifleman and modern day sniper side of the house. We have, by the time this episode gets published, we'll have the new MDS 2026 MDS Club, as well as our first challenge of the year. We're doing a 40-day challenge called the Cold Bore 40, and it's a 6-week 40-day challenge that's going to focus on getting everybody back to some good healthy habits. With both your rifle, your mind, and your body.
Yeah,
so
that's perfect.
We're going to touch all three of those things every single day, and people are going to be accountable through community. And I think
And that's what matters the most.
Yeah, really important.
Having a community.
And not going at it alone.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm with it.
Yeah, man. This was a lot of fun, Vince. Thanks for having us out and sharing your space with us. And I know Cass and I, we always were like, it'd be kind of cool to come sauna, cold plunge, and all the other modalities that you got here. It's
we
awesome.
just get to have fun together. That's all.
Indeed, man. We got to get you out and burn some powder too.
Agreed.
And come out and do some shooting.
Sling some lead.
Yeah, man. This was fun.